There you go. We all know that we're on the same page. So thank you and welcome to our cooking class, which we thought we'd title, Mum, what's for lunch? Because we are very aware that whether you've got kids or not, let's face it, anyone who is stuck at home, locked at home, working from home, learning from home, generally just trying to do the right thing and stay at home, instead of your normal lunches, all of a sudden everyone's at home demanding food. So we thought it would be a good idea to just share some of our ideas around lunch dishes that you can make ahead, that you can heat up, that you can have in the freezer, you can have in the fridge, and that the kids can jump in and grab, or you can heat up and cook at the time. So my name's Teresa Van Gessel, and I am the Business Development Manager for the branch presenting the class today. Our branch is called Vivid, and we cover from Berowra and across to Avalon, all the way down through the city, inner west, eastern suburbs, down to Botany Bay area. So a large chunk of Sydney. And on here today, I've got two chat moderators who you won't speak very much, but who are here to help. They're going to pop lots of links into the chat. So Anne-Marie and Tammy, when you see their names coming up, they'll be answering any questions you've got, pop into the chat. And there's also some team leaders on here who can also help with questions. So we've got an absolute wealth of knowledge ready to go for you. At the end of the session, if anyone is interested to learn more about how you can become part of our team, we'll be doing a little bit of I'll play a short video and we'll do a question and answer session. So if that's something that interests you, you can stick around, no obligation, and ask questions at the end. But in the meantime, we're going to get going. Now, I am aware that some of you may not have seen the TM6 in action. So rather than us just jumping in and assuming you know everything about it, we're just going to do a really quick little highlight on what it is and how it differs. So some of you might have TM31s or TM5s, and some of you might not have a Thermomix at all. So you'll see I've got two screens up. In fact, you don't need to see me at the moment. So this screen is the screen of the Thermomix. It's very polite. It welcomes me by name. So the home screen has our time, temperature, and speed. Then we swipe this way and we've got our modes. So scales, kneading, turbo, pre-clean, one of my favorite modes because it does save a lot on the washing up. Blending, rice cooker, thicken, a warm-up mode for when you're wanting to reheat the soup you've made for lunch. Kettle, egg boiler, fantastic for getting your eggs exactly how you like, but wait, there's more. Fermentation, slow cook, and sous vide. So, and as you can see, there's some gaps because, as we like to say, the Thermomix is one of the only kitchen appliances we know of that after you buy it keeps getting better. Through our software downloads, you actually get new modes as they're released. So it's pretty cool. And then, of course, the screen I showed you with my name on it is actually Cookie Doo. So that's our recipe library that you can search from the screen of your Thermomix. And if you decide that you want to make the chicken katsu curry, for example, you touch on the recipe and it comes up with all the ingredients you need, the steps, and then it takes you through and you start cooking. So the other thing I wanted to show, just for anyone who perhaps hasn't seen the Thermomix in action before, I've just got to find my other camera, is the bowl itself. So you're going to see all of our consultants tonight this afternoon using the Thermomix, but this is the bowl that does all the magic. This is our lid that comes off for anyone who, normally I say the lid doesn't fall out, but I've just realised I've got the broken lid in here. Normally, this is the great advantage over a TM31, that the lid clicks in and doesn't come out. I have teenagers. This one got dropped and broken last week and I forgot. But that's our lid. And inside our bowl, we have one blade. So it's stainless steel, really high quality steel, really high quality blades. And unlike food processors, we don't change blades for different things. We just have different speeds and reverse and forward in order to do everything we need to do. So that is the world's quickest introduction to the Thermomix. And now I'm actually going to get you onto the really exciting stuff, which is cooking. So first up, we have Danny Zapita, and Danny is going to introduce herself, explain what she loves about being a consultant and what she's making.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. My name's Danny and welcome to my kitchen. So I will be making a zucchini slice today. What I love about being a consultant is that it gave me sanity after COVID because I lost all my work, and I've kept it going as my part-time job. And thank God I did, because here I am doing a lot more Thermomix these couple of weeks in lockdown than I was doing before. So yeah, I'm going to hang on to this, and it's going to be my side gig, and I'm earning money doing it. So that's what I love about becoming a Thermomix consultant. So anyway, I'm going to start cooking straight away. And I saved my recipe in my week. So I'm just going to go quickly to the 3 little lines in the top left-hand corner and go to my week. And I've saved zucchini slice here, and you'll see another thing that I saved that I'll tell you about later. So basically, as you all know, you can scroll down, some of you may not know, sorry, ingredients and preparation and tips and tricks and nutritional value. But I'm going to start cooking straight away. I need to preheat my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, which I've done already, and I'm going to hit next. So what it's telling me to do is grease and line my Lamington tin or oven-proof dish. So a little point here, which I learned as a consultant, one of the things I love, I'm learning how to cook really well, is you get some baking paper, you scrunch it up wet, and then you line your dish in there. So I don't have to grease anything. Well, it says not grease it, but I actually didn't do it when I made it the other day, and it was fine. So there's my tin ready to go. Okay, so next is 100 grams of cheddar cheese. Now, I like to tweak all my recipes now that I'm learning how to use my Thermomix so well. And it says cheddar, but I'm just going to tear the scales. But I've put a little bit of Parmesan for flavour and Tasty and Colby, because I like a bit of a stringy taste with my Colby cheese. So that's in the bowl. There's 110 grams, which is fine. A little bit of extra cheese, doesn't matter. Insert my measuring cup with my lid. This might get a bit noisy, and we are going to turn it to speed 6, and it's going to chop up around. It's noisy for me, but I don't think you can hear the noise, which is excellent. Okay, so next is telling me straight away, like, nice and easy. You don't have to think when you've got cookie dough on hand. And there's my cheese. So onto the bench. So it's all grinded. It has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God.
Grated.
Thank you very much.
Grated cheese.
Oh dear. It's all the head cold that I had last week. My brain's all foggy and scattered. Okay, so that's in here now. So next is place 350 grams of zucchini. Now I've pre-chopped it. I've got a mixture of, because we've got a big wog veg garden, so I've got a mixture of homegrown zucchini, and then I've just got the shop bought zucchini, and I can tear it again, throw it all in there. I probably didn't have to cut it that much, but I just did for these purposes, so I'm nice and quick and easy. 300 next is, once again, insert the measuring cup. So this is my measuring cup, so it's telling me to make sure that that's in there. Okay, so next, turn to speed 4. And my zucchini nicely. Now, the reason why we're doing it separately is because the consistency, obviously the cheese is a different, softer consistency, and you don't want to mash it together because you won't get that nice texture. So there is my zucchini, nice and chopped. So it says to pour it into, and there's a little picture to tell you as well. Why don't I do it this way? And always go in a clockwise direction so you don't damage your, oops, I'm going anti-clockwise, whoops. So you don't damage your blade, your spatula, sorry, because the blade is sharp on one side and flat on the other. So you can do your mixing in your Thermomix. So look, I haven't completely cleaned it, which is fine because the recipe doesn't tell me to do that. So next is, I'll put that aside, 1 brown onion, and because we're doing a cooking demo, I pre-done it, nice and organised. I wish my life was always organised when I'm cooking, but you could see if I could chop it in there, it'd be really quick and easy. Next, now, bacon. So it says 3 rindless bacon rashers. Now, I thought I did a massive shop yesterday and I thought I had enough bacon, but I didn't. So I'm going to use ham, which same. Now, little trick, you go into those 3 little dots on your screen and we're going to go to the scale. So it says approximately 100, let's go back here, 160 grams or 3 things of bacon. So I'm going to go straight to the scales. So press those little buttons, go to the scales, and I'm just going to chop up my ham. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't preview this one. And I'm just going to rough chop. There's 40, 50. How are we going? Once again, I suppose it doesn't matter with your weight because it's a slice. And I don't have 160 grams, but that's okay. I just used all that. Okay, so then we go cross that off and we're back to the recipe, which is great. So next is insert the measuring cup again, knife down, and next turn, tells me turn to speed 5. I'm doing this upside down. 5. Okay, so next, scrape down the sides. My spatula's over here. Now this is the magic. So there's my bacon. Would you like to see? Nice and quick and easy. So if you don't like touching meat, well, I mean, you could have chopped that up with some scissors. I should have used the scissors because they're nice and sharp. I love my Thermomix scissors. They were one of my consultant rewards that I got. So it's a little file of bits and bobs, knives and scissors, and it's in like a little handy roll. Okay, next, insert measuring cup again, and it's now going to cook for 5 minutes. So turn to speed 1. It's actually not going to cook, it's going to saute. So the TM6 is does sauteing, has a high heat mode, can also, this is not actually high heat, this is 120. But it also can cook at 160. I was looking just to make sure I'm saying things are right because I only started, like 9 months I've been doing this. Anyway, so with the zucchini slice, you could add other ingredients. You could put some carrot in there. You could put, I mean, it's primarily a zucchini slice. You could put corn, so you're turning it almost into a frittata kind of style, if you like different flavours. Should I explain how we're going to cut this up and store it now?
That would be great, Danny. While it's cooking, if you want to explain how you look after your zucchini slice, that would be really helpful.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I might just grab some, just 1 second.
Danny's quite right though, and I saw Tammy pop a comment in that she's added some Mexican spice to hers in the past. It's a really good basic recipe to use up whatever you've got and make lunch for everybody. So back to you, Danny.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can, once it's all made, and you'll see it coming out of my tin later, you slice it all up and you can individually wrap it into little squares with some plastic, and then also just pop it into your container. And so what I do is just put the date and zucchini. Does that come up back to front for you? Okay, zucchini slice. And I date it because it's egg. You don't want it too long in the freezer. So I've done a bit of research and it says 3 months maximum with egg. And then in your fridge, it says up to 5 days. Now, that wouldn't last 5 days in my fridge, and I wouldn't eat it after 5 days either myself. But I've got chickens, so I like to feed my chickens as well, so I get more eggs. Yeah, so I think that's a nice, quick, easy way. You could throw it in, well, when we're back to school, you can throw it in lunch boxes, or if someone just needs a quick protein snack, I think that's got a nice substantial amount of protein in it to keep you feeling sustained.
And Danny, when you take it out of the freezer, do you just when you pop it in the lunch boxes, is it defrosted by the time they get to school, or do you defrost it the night before?
So lunch is not till 1:10 at our school, so that's from 7:30 a.m. or 7 a.m.
So for people who are learning from home, as most people are at the moment, if you've got it in the freezer, what would you recommend? Just taking some out in the morning so it's defrosted, ready for lunch? Or
you could do that. Or if you're just not planning enough and you're working as well and the kids are all working, then you could just take it out of the microwave. It's already wrapped up in the plastic. Take off the plastic, pop it on a plate. I'd put paper towel so it doesn't go soggy and gooey. If you want to utilise your Thermomix, you could do the varoma and get the steam happening and heat it up with the steam, but that might just take a little bit longer than you have time for if you're working. But if you want to practice using your varoma, it's a good suggestion to give it a shot. Stick your varoma dish on top, put up to the first line a bit of water, put it on heat, put 10 minutes in time, put it on about 100 degrees, even, or no, go all the way to varoma, sorry. What am I saying? And just put it on speed 1 just to get the steam up and try steaming something. So then you can heat it up with steam if you don't like using your microwave anymore.
Or you don't have one. So
you don't have one because you've got a Thermomix that replaces 20 other appliances.
Yeah. Or you've got, like me, 2 Thermomixes and no room on the bench for a microwave, so you choose to not have one. So, all right, how much longer have we got there? We're just
45 seconds.
Okay, so what are the next ingredients you're going to be adding? Just let us know what comes.
Okay. All right, so I've got eggs ready and I've pre-cracked them to make it nice and fast. We've got 5 eggs. Excuse me, family. I'm talking on camera. It's my turn. You're all there.
It's not just my house.
It's real time.
We believe in keeping it real.
Okay, actually, I might talk about my rice flour. So something I do not buy in my kitchen is rice flour. And I know that you can make rice flour in the Thermomix. Now, I know that if you just go up to speed 10, you're going to mill it. But I wasn't 100% sure, which I'm not a regular chef cook, you know. So I found the recipe for rice flour and it did the time properly. So it does it for 2 minutes at speed 10 and the flour came out absolutely perfect. Look at it. So that's going to be added now. So anyway, the recipe asks for 5 eggs and look at that, sauteed ham and onion, and I'm going to pop my 5 eggs in there. Okay, and 100 grams of rice flour. So I just make sure that my scales are tared, which they are, and my flour, which I pre-milled in my Thermomix, 100. And if you've got a second bowl and you're in the middle of a recipe, you can still go home, take your bowl off, and then mill your flour. So it's always beneficial to have 2 bowls, particularly to 99. Okay. Next, a pinch of salt, and I get my trusted Costco salt. I'm just going to put a bit of extra. My family likes salt. And next, a bit of pepper. There we go. And add the cheese and the zucchini. Step by step, I'm doing exactly as my cookie dough tells me today. And most days, because then my recipes are perfect, because they are triple tested. All the cookie dough recipes are. Okay, and voila, in the mix it goes. Next, olive oil, 80 grams. Okay, and we just pour. Here we're going down. I thought it was going to be a bit too much olive oil, but it's fine. It's a nice amount. Comes out nice and fluffy. And we're coming in. And 100. Oh, I'm getting good at this. 101. All right, next, insert the lid. And now she's going to combine all my recipes to speed 4. It's all going to mix together. And then I'll get my tray ready. Let's do that for 10 seconds. Okay. Next. And oh, my husband's a builder, so he's home. So we're doing all the house bits and bobs now, which is kind of exciting. And there's our mixture ready. Pour it straight in. Okay, so I'm just going to do this because I'm not, I'm going to take
That's all right. That's looking great. If you want to just show us what it looks like so far, and then you can pop it in the oven while we move on.
Perfect.
Just so everyone can see the consistency of how it's gone into the tray, because it's
little
one of those dishes that's really sloppy and messy until it's baked.
Yes, that's quite watery.
Yep. Great. We will look forward to seeing the end result, Danny. Thank you.
I know a song about that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks. All right, we're passing over to the lovely Nia, who is on our northern beaches. So we really do have people calling in from everywhere. And Nia is going to show you vegetarian sausage rolls. And can I tell you, your kids will not know that they're vegetarian. In fact, no one will. They're amazing. Thank you, Nia.
Hi everybody, good afternoon. And I totally agree with Teresa. I have had grown men fight over sausage rolls, saying that there's meat in them, and there isn't. I didn't have to put this one in my menu planner. It's always on recently cooked. It's on regular rotation in my house. It's a great one to take to meetings and anything that you need to take food along to. It's such a great recipe. I cook these in bulk, I freeze them, and I'll show you that a bit later on. Those of you that have a TM5 or a TM6, this recipe is in your basic cookbook. If you're a TM31 owner, it wasn't in that one. I was originally a TM31 owner, and I was a customer for 6 years before I decided to become a consultant. And I loved it so much, I thought I might as well earn some money in doing so. So, yep, it's amazing the different stories that people have. Anyway, I'm going to get on and make these vegetarian sausage rolls. So I'm just going to go into my recently cooked, and it will be the last one I made because I've made some today already. So easy. I don't want to resume. I want to restart my recipe. So that actually picks up, if you were partway through a recipe, did you want to go back to where you were, which can be very useful sometimes. So I'm just going to start cooking. And the one thing I'm going to say, I scanned through the recipe to begin with and found out my ingredients. One of the things it asks for is breadcrumbs, but it's partway through the recipe. So it's always worth just scanning through in case there's something you need to do first. And with breadcrumbs, it's obviously better to have a dry bowl. You're going to get much better milling of your bread in terms of doing that. And I don't know if you like, in my house, I've got a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old. The crusts of the bread never get eaten. We've got the plastic bag with the 2 crusts in, we get wasted. I needed 50 grams for this recipe. So a great tip to use, if you've got day or 2 old bread, if it's a bit drier, it's much easier to process in the Thermomix. So use those crusts, use those things that normally get thrown away, pop them in your Thermomix, 10 seconds on speed 6, and you've got breadcrumbs, easy. And better still, when you're using those crusts as you go through, just freeze them, pop them in the freezer. Then next time you need sausage rolls, they're ready. They can go into meatballs. They can go on top of pasta bakes just to give a bit more crunch. So a great way of utilising that waste food, particularly at the moment when you don't want to be going out too much. So, long story short. So it's asked me to put the oven on, which is fine. Oh, that is done. And line a baking tray, that's done. First thing that goes in is 180 grams of brown onion. So that's, pop that in there. Then I'm just going to chop those onions up. And for any of you that haven't got a Thermomix, you know the pain of chopping onions, this makes life a lot easier. So it's going on speed 5 for 3 seconds. Just to show you, as you can see, a lot less effort and a lot less tears. I'm just going to scrape that down the edges. So it's back around the blades, ready for the next thing to be added and mixed in. There we go. Okay. So now asking for a tablespoon of oregano. I kind of free will here. I'm all for less washing up. That's about a tablespoon. 100 grams of walnuts. And something to be aware of, particularly if you're going to use these when the kids are back at school, particularly for those in primary, you're in a nut-free environment, can't use the walnuts. A great alternative, and we use these in our school canteen, in fact, either substitute with the same quantity of chickpeas or the same quantity of pepitas or sunflower seeds. So the good substitute there instead, and actually some really great goodness retained in those sausage rolls as well. But today I'm going to use the walnuts. We've got no allergies, so we're good to go. 90 grams of rolled oats. So just what you get from the cereal aisle, not any of the finely ground ones, just your basic ones. And then we're going to pop all that to mix. And that's just going to go for 3 seconds on speed 6. Again, I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl just to make sure that it's all been incorporated. Again, I'm just going to show you that texture, how quickly it's drawn all that together and made quite a solid mix. Then it's asking for 3 eggs. And just a little tip for you here. Sometimes when you are cooking, and some recipes ask you to break eggs straight in, it's always good just to break them into the lid. And then that way, you're not going to get any pieces of skin in there or perish the thought if sometimes you've got a rotten egg, which has happened to me, and you chuck that in and it's too late. So it's just really useful to just use your measuring cup for that purpose, just to make sure you don't have any stray pieces of shell. And I will be keeping all those eggshells because what I do when I've got a box full, I grind them all up in my Thermomix, and then it's a lot easier for them to decompose in the compost. So there you go, another top tip. Eggs are in, and then it's asking for 150 grams of feta, cut into pieces of about 3 centimetres. So there's my feta already prepared. That's going in. So it's about 2/3 of a normal rectangle of feta that you buy in the supermarket. And a tablespoon of soy sauce or tamari. So tamari, again, is a naturally brewed soy sauce, so either one will do. And again, because I don't like washing up, as you've already heard, I'm just going to bring up my scales in the middle of the recipe there. And a tablespoon is about 15 grams. So again, I can just bring my scales up, pour that in a little bit slowly because it's a liquid, just so I can keep an eye. There we go, 15 grams. 1 less spoon for washing up again. Every bit helps. So I'll just exit out of there. It takes me back to where I was. 50 grams of breadcrumbs that, as you know, I prepared earlier. So that's easy. That's rid of those crusts. And then I'm going to mix all those together. And that's going to mix for 20 seconds on speed 5. Okay. Now in this recipe, it asks you to use just the pre-bought puff pastry squares. Here's one, just from Coles, wherever, just even their own brand ones are perfectly good, work really well. So I'm going to show you just assembling one, just so you've got an idea how that looks. There's the mixture. So it's quite a runny mixture at this point. I'm just going to tilt my screen so you can see what I'm doing here. There we go. So I've got my piece of puff pastry. All I'm going to do is score that pastry down the middle. So just put a line through it. And I'm leaving the protective plastic on because that's really useful to stop it sticking to your bench. But also, if you are going to freeze them, use that plastic to go between the layers, and it'll stop them sticking either to your Tupperware or to each other. So that's really good to keep hold of those. So I've literally just cut down the middle, and I'm just going to use my spatula, and I'm just going to pour out a nice thick worm of the mix. And it is quite runny, don't be alarmed. It is supposed to be quite sloppy because you've got those eggs in there. So I'm just going to do that on the outer edge of each piece of pastry. Like so. There we are. Okay. And then all I'm going to do, as the name suggests, I'm just going to roll it. I'm just going to peel that protective plastic wrapper off as I roll. And you can decide what's going to work for your family, whether it's going to be like party size where you've got little ones, or it's full-size sausage rolls. So I just roll it over and it sticks together. That's all you need. So you can either cut those in half when you get full-size sausage rolls. You can cut them into thirds, they're a bit more generous, or you can cut them into quarters and you've got like that party size, like so. So I'm going to leave these as full size. And you can add anything into these that you want, really. You can alternate the herbs. You can add in parmesan and stuff to your breadcrumbs. You can spice them up, anything at all. All I'm doing here, I'm just glazing with a little bit of milk, like so. And then I'm literally going to just cover off there with some sesame seeds before they go in to cook. Okay. You repeat that process through the 3 sheets of puff pastry. So it gives you a good quantity of sausage rolls. And I'm just going to show you, here's some I prepared earlier. These are actually from the freezer. So I've got a selection of different sizes there. So I've got the full size, I've got the little party ones, I've got them in thirds. So I've always got a supply in the freezer. At the moment with homeschooling, I just put the oven on half an hour before I know they're going to finish. Put them in the oven straight from frozen at about 200 degrees, 180 to 200 for about 20 minutes. My kids will clear those, bit of ketchup, but they're actually getting all that goodness of the nuts, of the oats. So they're a really healthy alternative as sausage rolls go. Again, it's complying with that meat-free element. And I struggle to get those meat-free dishes in my kids. So again, it's another great way of helping that. I talked about substituting the nuts. So yes, there's my vegetarian sausage rolls. And I've just got, these are the ones I've just made. There you go, on my Thermomix silicone mat, which you can earn as a host reward. Don't forget that.
Yum. I've also used that filling inside pizza dough to make like little rolls for the kids. And again, my very fussy child who does not like vegetables had no idea that they were just having vegetarian rolls. So perfect. Thank you, Nina. Beautiful presentation. And yeah, they're great for having in the freezer, ready to go, pop them in the oven. If you've already got them cooked, store them in the fridge. And then when you've in it, like if you need them, then you can just heat them up again in the oven gently, or in the microwave if you have one. All right, now there was a question while we were on about how do you bring up your scales while you're in the middle of a recipe. So I am going to attempt to show you on my screen here. So on the TM6, the next button has 3 dots next to it. And if I move my big fat finger, touch on those dots and it comes up with recipe detail, scales, or cancel recipe. So if I touch on scales, it brings my scales up. To go back to my recipe, I touch on the cross up in the corner. If I want to check what's coming next in my recipe, and I realize it's probably not showing as clearly on the screen as it could, but the top one says recipe detail, and that takes me back to the front, so I can actually, while the steps going through, I can go through and work out what the next ingredients are that I might need to bring up. So hopefully that helps understand where the scales can be used in the middle of a guided recipe. All right, we are humming along, and next up we have the lovely Natalie, who is going to show you how she makes a feta, spinach and potato frittata. Similar in some ways to our zucchini slice, but in other ways different and better. So over to you, Nat.
All right, thanks, Teresa. So yeah, we're making the frittata today. The thing that I love most about becoming a consultant was heavily to do with the price of the Thermomix. So for me, I just had a newborn baby in the month of May of last year, and my sister-in-law, Alison, she already had one, and we were umming and ahhing and talking about it. And I said, you know, it's not something I can kind of afford up front. And we looked at doing the Earn program. So for me, it was about jumping on board, learning about the Thermomix, and being able to on-sell them to potential customers, and then for myself to be able to benefit from that as well in the way of affordability for the Thermomix. So in doing so, just built my passion for Thermomix, and I continue to stay on as a consultant, and I'm still working a full-time job and this on the side, so it works really well for me. So, you know, if you are worried about having work full-time and the Thermomix, I guarantee you'll have a lot of support from your team leader and the person that has helped to recruit. So if you are umming and ahhing, I definitely would say give it a go. There's no harm in trying. So that's my little spurb on my consultancy so far. So I started last year. So we'll get started on the Thermomix. So I'll just move it down. So it tells me to line my square baking tray, which I have. I did just grease mine. I find it just as easy, just a square tin, nice and simple. And I've just sprayed that with some cooking oil. Next step was to preheat the oven, which I've done as well, and then cut my red onions, which I've done also just to help with the speeding up of the recipe. So, next step is to put the cheese, 100 grams of cheddar cheese, into my bowl. And I've got it in these lovely bamboo bowls that you can also get from the mix shop. However, I do believe you can get them in the colours, so these ones are just white, but on the mix shop they're all pretty colours, which is nice for summer. So prepare the scale, you pop that in. And the same as the frittata as well, the zucchini slice, if you go a little bit over, a little bit under, there is always tweaks and things that you will find that you like to do personally that, yeah, fits your family and the ingredients that you have in your kitchen. So we'll pop the lid on, 5 seconds, we'll pop that up. Perfect. And you can see that it's just spreaded it all up. Now next step is to add 200 grams of the feta. Again, I've just roughly chopped it up. I don't know how well you can see that. All just roughly cubed, and we're just going to pop that in as well. And then we're going to pop the lid on. 3 seconds on speed 5. Perfect. So you can actually see how the feta and the cheese have just kind of mushed in together. And this recipe actually has been updated recently. So So that's another thing to be mindful, that Thermomix is always working on new recipes and updating new ones when there's recommendations or new things that people have recommended recipe may change. So it's always really helpful to know that Thermomix is always looking to update and add in new recipes constantly through good news. I'm just going to pop that into our glass bowl. That's it. Now the bowl's still just as dirty, but like I said, we don't need to clean it because we're just adding everything into essentially the same bowl. Pop that back on. And now we're adding 10 eggs, which I have cracked into this bowl for quicker assembly. So pour those in. So that was 10 eggs and some baby spinach, 100 grams. Again, I've just kind of popped it in the bowl. And again, we're just going to chop that up for 5 seconds on speed 5. Now, a really good way of, well, for my family anyway, my daughter is just over 1. So with spinach, I do like to make sure that it is chopped a little bit more. So this is a really good recipe for young ones. If you do have small children, you know, that aren't at preschool, are at preschool, and you just need to chop things, you can just go back into that step and you can just chop it more or blend it more to make that ingredient a lot finer. So again, it is one of those things that you can tweak to how you like things chopped, or how, for me, the spinach needs to be sometimes a little bit finer than what it would be, say, for us as parents. So another good thing, you can just go back into that last step and chop it again. Again, they're all lovely and chopped. And we're just going to pour that into the bowl with the cheese and the onions. Now with this next step, I have actually already pre-done it. So what we do is we clean the bowl out, we add some water, 800 grams of water, and then you would actually assemble your pumpkin and your sweet potato and your potatoes all into your varoma. So that just sits on the top of the bowl, and then you would cook it for 10 minutes. Then you would give it a stir within that 10 minutes to make sure that the veggies are going to cook nice and evenly, and then it will cook for another 10, so in a total of 20 minutes. Now, your varoma just sits on top of the bowl, like so, and I've already done it, so I'll give you a little visual of how it looks. So I've got my 2 parts of potato on the top there, which has already been cooked and ready, and then I've also got my pumpkin underneath. So always also to be quite important is to make sure there's a little bit of a gap in the bottom so that it allows the steam to come up into the next level of your varoma to make sure that, again, evenly cooking. So that's already cooked for the 20 minutes. And now what we're going to do is pop it, all the veggies into the bowl, pop it all in. and then it goes into the baking dish and then into the oven. So, Teresa, do you want me to show it or just at the end?
We'll come back and see the finished product, and that will make us all very hungry for dinner. Thank you, Nat. And we're now going to cross over to Jeanette. I'll just find her on my screen, and here we go. So Jeanette is going to show us the beautiful sushi salad that she made for her family the other day that inspired her to suggest it. And Jeanette, if you'd like to just tell everyone briefly what you love about being a consultant.
Sure, thanks, Teresa. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeanette, as Teresa just said. I have been a Thermomix owner for 7 years now, and I've only been a consultant since, I think, February or March this year. I think what led me to, I did and ah for a while about being a consultant, but basically my passion for the product. I have to say, I think I sold a lot of Thermomixes before becoming a consultant. I used to take my Thermomix to friends' houses and do the demos for them. We were living overseas, so I would do that when I'd come back on my holidays. I think one of my friends is watching today, and I went over to her house one day and we cooked up a storm, and she bought the next day. So it's just purely my passion for the product. It helps people in the kitchen. It makes everything quick and easy. If you're a good cook, it makes you better. If you can't cook, it's all guided. It's easy. So I think that that was my main reason. And I don't have another job, but I have a very busy household with kids in sports. Pre and post COVID, my husband is not home much. He travels a lot. So it just fits in with my lifestyle, working in with my own timing. So that's my reason. But enough of that. Anyway, I'm going to make the sushi salad today. This is a great recipe. It's really quick. If your kids, anyone likes sushi, as soon as you take a mouthful, it tastes like sushi. So it's a winner. It's a very easy recipe to make. So I'll get started. So firstly, I've also saved this recipe into my week on my menu planner. So we'll just go into the recipe and we will start cooking. So first off, we have to measure our rice into the simmering basket. I will measure it here, but I have actually pre-cooked my rice. So just to show everybody the scales, it's 400 grams of rice. If you don't have sushi rice, because I know in the supermarkets, the packets are labelled sushi rice, medium grain rice is exactly the same thing. So that's just a little tip. When it's labelled sushi rice, it's a lot more expensive. So you can just buy medium grain and it works exactly the same. So we've weighed in our sushi rice. You now have to, in this recipe, you take the rice out, you rinse it, give it a really good rinse, make sure it pretty much runs clear. For those who have not seen the Thermomix before, this is really handy. The simmering basket here, you put your spatula in. So when your food's hot, this is actually how you lift everything out so you don't get burnt or anything like that. So that's the rice. You give it a good rinse. Once it's all rinsed and drained, you put 900 grams of water into here. You pop your rice back in you pour, I think it's half a teaspoon of peanut oil on top, and you cook it. So we'll go through here. So it's reinsert simmering basket, pouring the peanut oil, and then the machine will go through cooking the rice. When you normally cook rice, the machine does have a rice cooker mode that Teresa was showing all the modes before. There are collections in Cookie Do that I think it's called Rice and Grains, and it tells you how to cook basmati or brown rice through the the rice cooker mode. So that's just a little tip for everybody. So the rice cooks for 15 minutes. What is really good about this recipe is that while it's cooking, if you go back into the main recipe, sorry, it's those little dots up there, and you go recipe detail, it's such a simple recipe that the rest of the recipe is just weighing and measuring out ingredients. So you can actually, while your rice is cooking, you can pre-prepare all the rest of the ingredients so that once the rice is cooked and cooled down, you can just put it all together and you don't have to keep going through the steps. So you can go back in and have a look at everything there. But now we will go back, continue to where we were. So the rice is cooking for 15 minutes. Next, it's asking us to remove the basket with the spatula. Also, on a lot of the recipes now with the TM6, there are videos that play to show you how to do certain things. So this is actually, can you guys see that if I press play? Yeah, I'll press play. And they're just quick little videos that actually show you what to do, which is really handy. So it's just teaching you how to lift it out so that you don't get burnt or anything like that. So that's that. Next, once the rice is cooled, transfer it into a large serving bowl and set aside. I have done that. So next, we're going to clean and dry the mixing bowl, and it's asking us for some spring onions, just 2 to 3 spring onions or shallots. I've got that here with my carrot already. The next step is 2 carrots, 210 grams it says. I've put in a bit extra because there is seafood in this recipe. I was going to sub out with chicken, but my online delivery hasn't come. So, so I'm going to go heavy on the vegetables today. So we're going to pop all of these in. And if you can see, like, they're quite big chunks, but they will cut up. I may have to cut mine a little bit more, but we will see. Next. And it's asking for the lid. Next. So it's 3 seconds to speed 6. So we'll just turn that one. I just see if this is chopped up enough because I have put in extra. There's 1 chunk of carrot, but if you can see that, there's only 1 there. I'll just leave that. It's all sliced up in 3 seconds, which was good. So now we're going to just put that with the rice. I'm going to use, this is from the mix shop. I really like these spatulas because they're quite sturdy here on the side, but they have a bit of give. So it's very easy to scrape the sides of the bowl clean. I find them very easy. I really do like the harder spatulas for doughs and things like that are hard to get out. But when you've got soft batters and vegetables and things like that, I find it just really easy to get round to the sides of the bowl when using this one. So we pop that in there. Now it's asking for me to pop this bowl back on here because it wants to weigh in the seafood. So to weigh in some salmon or tuna. I did cook up some salmon, but I'm not going to put it through because my kids don't eat seafood. So at the end, the bowls that my husband and I eat, I will put that on top, but I will omit it here. So you can weigh that in, you tear your scales, you can pop. This is really handy too, because when things are cooking, you can always in your recipe click your little 3 dots up here, hit the scales, and you can weigh as you're cooking. So that's another handy little tip. So next, the next is some mirin, which is like all the Asian, lovely Asian. This smells so good. It's so good. Lovely Asian sauces and things. I've put everything together already, so I'm going to. So the sesame oil, the mirin, sesame seeds I've got here. I will throw these in. It was a tablespoon. I'm going to tip this in. There's some. It's going to ask me for some soy sauce or tamari later. We use tamari because we don't have gluten at home. So I'm going to tip all of that in. Avocado cut into cubes, already done. Next, cucumber, already cut into cubes. Cooked prawns, which we're not using today, but again, you can use chicken, you can really put in anything you want into this recipe. The soy sauce, which I told you before, I've already put in. I used tamari and rice wine vinegar. I had that in the cup too, because I pre-put everything together. So basically, you just stir all of this together. It is such a simple dish. My kids absolutely love it. It's easy, it's quick for now while they're at home during lockdown, and when they're at school and they take rice, I usually put it, even if it's a rice salad, I will put it in the thermoses so that it stays fresh and cool, because you do have to be a little bit careful with rice. So we mix all that up. And I'm just going to plate some of it soon. So,
Jeanette, if you made it the night before, would it still be okay and kept it in the fridge? Would you then serve it up for lunch or pop it in lunch boxes the next day?
Lunch stays nice because you can see it's quite a big serve. The other day we made it, we had leftovers and it stayed nice the next day. I think the trick with this one is, though, you do really need to, because normally when you cook sushi rice, it's quite sticky and gluggy. You do really need to rinse this so that the water runs clear, so that a lot of that stickiness doesn't doesn't glug up the rice. Yeah.
Now we do need to move on. Yep. So we'll come when you do your plating up. We'll come back at the end and you can show the finished product. But thank you. I'm now inspired. We do a lot of sushi in this house. The salad's much easier.
Yeah.
Than making sushi itself. So that is fantastic. Now, our next presenter, last but definitely not least, we have the gorgeous Felicity Douglas, who is going to make or show us how. Oh, hang on, I've just popped the wrong person on the spotlight. I'll come back to the right person. There we go. Felicity is going to show us how she makes gozleme, which I'm very keen to see. So over to you, Felicity.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It's a great idea for a cooking class, and that's why we've got so many people on. Today, I will be making gozleme. Apparently, I say gozleme, and apparently it's gozleme. I've just had that been corrected by one of my teenagers. This is the end result, and I'm showing it to you now because I can't guarantee it's going to be here at the end of the class. I've already had to cook another batch for my son who's heading off to work, and fought off the 21-year-old. So they are absolutely delicious. And don't be scared by what's involved in them, because they're really quite simple. It's a regular here, and either I cook them or the kids cook them. Never disappointing. What I've actually done is I've gone through and I've prepared the mixture. So this is the mixture. So I've grated the cheese in the Thermomix. I've made the mince, cooked the mince in the Thermomix. I've added feta cheese, and I've also, if you can see there, all the herbs. I've chopped up the herbs too. And then what happens is it just gets mixed together. So it's ready to go as our filling. when we talked about what we were going to showcase during the class, everyone decided that it was the preparation of the actual gozleme that everyone wanted to see, not the actual making of the mixture. So this makes an absolutely delicious mixture. And I think it's like the feta is divine and all the herbs chopped in. Now, I'm sure you all know that one of the big benefits of the Thermomix is that it chops cheese so quickly, and that beautiful cheese has no preservatives, no additives, and we use it on our pizza, we use it in our gozleme and so many other dishes. So that's the mixture that's going to go in. What I have done is I prepared the dough. Now that is straight out of the Thermomix, okay? This dough actually has yogurt in it. So it's the first step that you do. You add your egg, milk, oil, yogurt and yeast into the mixing bowl. Chop it, mix it for 4 seconds, speed 6, then heat it for 3 minutes to activate the yeast. You then add your flour, your baking powder, sugar and salt, and we'll knead it for half a minute. And then what you're going to do is tip it out. Now, this is what the bowl looks like. That's pretty clean, isn't it? What I do now, we will jump again, so because I don't like doing things in order. I'm the person who starts at the back of the newspaper or reads the end of the book first. So we are going to, my favourite mode on the new Thermomix is the pre-clean. And if we jump over to that, so if I just swipe right, and the pre-clean function, pre-clean, it's giving me different options. The first option is dough, okay? Now, the dough function, for obvious reasons, it's not going to heat this bowl up. I need to add a litre of water in, and you know in your bowl there is a marker which says 1 litre, or 1 squirt of detergent, and then when I put that on, it will, so I just turn my dial around to dough and it will clean it off without heating it, so that the little bits of dough that are on there are not going to stick on. The other different modes are universal, which is what we use most of the time, fat or caramel, and browning. Now, who doesn't love finishing a dish and then being able to have the Thermomix clean itself? So we shall set that aside. Everyone else has shown you how to make mince and chop cheese and that. I will go back, actually I'll show you, I'll go back to my recipe, little green bookmark at the top. It's taking me back to my recipe. If I go up to the 3 dots, I can look at, I've got my scales. I've also got recipe detail, and I can scroll down and see all the steps. So we've got the dough made, then I would have made the filling, which was chopping the cheese, 6 seconds, speed 9, add the mint, parsley and spinach into mixing bowl, chopping 2 seconds, speed 6. Then we're transferring that into a bowl, and we're on to where we're adding our oil, garlic, cumin, coriander and paprika, chopping 3 seconds, speed 7, and you end up with that beautiful mixture I showed you before. And then that cooks for 3 minutes Varoma, so high heat Varoma temperature, which everyone's Thermomix, whether it's the TM31, which is what I started with, or the TM5 or the TM6, all have Varoma temperature. Added the mince, flour, salt, pepper and lemon juice, and then it cooked for 4 minutes. So what I did then was everything in together to make this beautiful mixture. Now, this could be used in scrolls or anything, but we're using it with the beautiful gozleme and that gorgeous dough with the yogurt in it. What we now have to do is we use our little, love this, So this is from the mix shop, and it's a little blade, because our Thermomat, which you may have earned as a host gift, or you may have got it. If you bought your Thermomix this month, you would have got that. You would have got your Thermomat and your bread tin with it. So we're going to chop off, it says about 40 grams of the dough. So it's like a decent chunk. I'm just going to roll it, pop it onto my mat. And this mat's great because it has the circle in the middle, so that we can make sure we get roughly what we need circle-wise. Now, these don't have to be amazing shape or anything. It's rustic, the way I cook, rustic. Rough circle. I'm going to use the blade from my little cooking set I earned as a consultant. Now, it's asking for about 2 tablespoons of the mixture. So we pop that in, and then we're going to, probably gone a little bit hard with that, a bit too much. All the different colours and goodness in this. We then are going to fold it over. I've done these other ones perfectly, and then of course the one I do to demonstrate is going to be the one which is the most ordinary. I've got a fork, and I learnt this from, I think it was Nia the other day when she was demonstrating, just around the edges, so you get that lovely little professional look. Squash it down, and there you go. So you may even want to crease the other side as well. Okay, so that's how that turns out. I shall do another one.
Felicity, while you're doing that, can you explain to us how you then cook them, what the best ways of cooking them are?
So what I've decided is my best way is I got a little pan when I was in the city the other day. So it's just a small, it's like a crepe, actually it is a crepe pan. And again, this is something I learnt from a cooking demonstration I attended the other week, which, you know, some of you were presenting at, and someone had beautiful crepe pan, and that's how they cooked. So what I find is I have one in one side, and then in the other side, I do a second one. Again.
Now, were you saying the other day that you've also used an air fryer?
Yeah, I take these to work, and at work we have a sink, we have an air fryer. I do have a Thermomix, or I take my spare Thermomix down there during the week so I can heat up our lunch. But pretty well I have these made at home. Yep. And then I take them into the factory and cook them in the air fryer. And oh my God, they are just an amazing lunch. So you can imagine all the boys who work for us, everyone suddenly appears when it's lunchtime.
They follow the smell.
They follow the smell. So
for the air fryer, do you pre-cook them and then heat them up, or do you actually cook them in the air fryer?
Either or.
Okay.
So if I'm organised, I will have had them cooked. But to be perfectly honest, in future, I won't bother pre-cooking them.
Yep.
I will just take them like what Nia did with the sausage rolls.
Yeah, take them in like that. They look, yeah. Now, there's a question in the chat. How long in the air fryer?
Oh, I think it was about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They don't take long at all. And same with these in the fry pan. Like the mince is already cooked. Everything's cooked. So it's, and the dough seems to cook really quickly as well. So they're really only taking maybe a minute on either side. Now, how happy was I with that? Look at that.
Oh, perfect.
And it also means it's not just me cooking this. My kids are teenagers, so they can grab them and cook them.
Yeah.
Now, this is what they look like finished.
Beautiful.
So honestly, I really had to physically hold off.
Someone's stealing, I understand.
Yes.
That would be the same in part of my house. So
Yes.
I completely understand.
But they make so many. It makes, like, look how much I've got left.
Yeah.
And I've already made 6. So it makes a stack, and you can see how much of this there is. So honestly, 500 grams of mince.
Yeah. Have you tried freezing them yet, or with your family do they just get cooked and eaten straight away? Yeah.
I know. I looked at Nia's sausage rolls and went, yeah, no, never going to happen here. But the idea, like,
it can be. They can be frozen and then cooked from the freezer, if your family doesn't inhale them before they make it to the freezer.
Now, I also want to show you. So I will be sending, I've got one who's still at school, but also anyone who, my daughter doesn't work for the family business. So if she's taking them, she would have her lunchbox, Thermomix lunchbox, and it's great. It's one which flat packs. Then you just pop it out and you got your fork in there, room for other things.
Yeah, I love those as well when we're going out. Well done. All right. Well, thank you. We have to go back and see a couple of finished products. So let me see. Have we got, Danny, is your zucchini slice ready to go? All right. I'm going to come back to you. Here we go. Show us the finished product.
So I'll start with the finished products and nice and fluffy, and see how you can see the veggies because it was chopped up chunky. It's already been attacked, so that is for my daughter to eat now. So Ramina, would you like it now? She was starving. She's like, can I have it? And just in the tin, I had to leave some in the tin just so you can see. And you would just, she took the plate as well. Wait a sec. Okay. So you just pull it out. There we go. My tin is clean a little bit there, because and it just comes off beautifully. There we go. And you can just peel it off and cut it up.
Right. Well, my day's sorted for tomorrow. I know exactly what I need to do. Thank you very much.
Can I just say how quick these dishes are? Meanwhile, I've been quickly doing my sausage rolls. So thank you for the inspo. So quick. I was so impressed. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Danny. That's fantastic. All right, we're going to cross back to Natalie to see the finished frittata. Here we go. We're good to go, Nat?
Yeah. I will probably cook it a little bit longer, but I'll show you anyway because it's browned nicely anyway.
That's the beautiful thing about virtual cooking. We can always tell you that it's done and then stick it back in the oven when you're gone. Oh, that does look good.
So my lighting's gone all.
That's okay. It's the reality of cooking at home.
That's right. There we go.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, and Jeanette, have we got a plated up sushi salad as the last showcase?
This is my husband's one, so we've got some salmon on there too with some little nori strips. So yum.
Yum.
Sweet too.
I have all the ingredients for that one at the moment. So my menu planning for the week is coming along very nicely. Thank you all very much. Okay, that is the end of the class. We've gone a little bit over time, but I think all the extra tips that everyone added in were definitely worth it. I will be sending out the email afterwards with the links that we've talked about and any other suggestions. And if any of you have been inspired by the beautiful stories that everyone shared, please feel free to stick around, and I'm going to play a 3-minute video that just tells you a bit about how you can become a consultant, what's involved, and then I'll stick around if you've got any questions that you want to ask. But the other thing, of course, is that we also have more classes coming up. We have one on Thursday night, which is called Mum, I'm Hungry, but you've got to think about the way it's actually said, which is Mum, I'm hungry. That might just be my family. And so that is going to be an absolute bonanza of snacks that you can pre-make and have ready to go. And in the fridge, in the freezer, in the pantry. So make sure you tune in for that. And then next Saturday, we're doing what's for dinner. I got told off for using mum too much because we all know dads also cook. So instead of, I've kept it gender neutral, and we're doing what's for dinner so that everyone can have ideas on those quick meals that you can do in 30 minutes, have them on the table and have everyone eat them. Because even though we're all at home, you still actually have work to do, kids have schoolwork to do, life still has to go on. So quick meals are really important now, just as they are when everyone's out of the house. So that will come too. So I am going to stop the recording and